today's session is more like how to understand the new changes that we have in the Directional Framework, and also how to deploy one of the strategies that we're going to create and modify. Encourage everyone is to start testing and writing these directional strategies, because you are not going to have so much risk, and it's interesting to see how a bot works, like, I don't know, for 2 weeks, which is the performance, when your entries are okay, when not, how the framework works. So, well, we are working very hard to make the UX of this better every release. So, well, changes that we have in the Directional Framework. In terms of feeds, candle feed, we added more sources. Before we only have Binance and Binance Perpetual. We added Gate.io, Gate.io Perpetual, Kucoin Spot, because they are not providing WebSockets for the candles of Kucoin Perpetuals yet. So when we also requested Kucoin if they can start doing it. And as soon as they support that feature, we are going to include that candles too. And is ongoing the creation of the Ascendex spot, so you are going to be able to use it soon too. The interface of the candles feed is exactly the same, so you don't have changes of how you interact with the candles. Remember basic things: you always need to create the instance, start the candle, and stop the candle when the script stops. Unless you are using the Directional Strategy Base that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. We have also some updates in the Position Executor. Now supports limit and market orders. Before, the take profit was only limit order, and now it can be a market order, and also for the open order can be a limit order. This was requested by a community member because he ran the same strategy with limit orders and with market orders. Well, first of all, he wants to have the flexibility to use the two of them. And secondly is that when you are doing directional trading or these taker strategies or strategies that you are trying to capture an inefficient from the market, usually it's better to use market orders, because if you are submitting a limit order and the market is going in the opposite side, usually your order is not going to be executed. And also, you can create much more complex strategies if you are using market orders, because you don't need to place your liquidity or allocate your liquidity in a limit order. You can have the Position Executor controlling the price that he has to trigger the execution, so you can use the whole capital, and then when it's time to send the order, it's going to send the market order. But you don't have to expose all the capital with limit orders at the same time. The second improvement of the Position Executor is that now works in spot and perpetuals. Probably you would ask, hey, why you can use it in a spot if it's more like for directional trading or whatever. And the thing is that the abstraction that I did, that for me is going to leverage a bunch of new features or new strategies in Heimbot that works seamlessly in spot and perpetuals, is that a long position will be in a spot buying the asset and selling it in a higher price, or selling it in a lower price if it's a stop loss. So we have a take profit and stop loss and the time limit too. And if it's a short or a sell in spot, will be like you have the asset and you are selling the asset to buy it later on in a lower price. That will be like your take profit, or buy it in a higher price if it's like a stop loss. The last feature that is for me one of the coolest things of this release is that now we have trading stop. So you can use it in spot and perpetuals. It's the same, but basically it follows the same formula as Binance. Imagine that this is when you start the Position Executor. So the activation price will be 1% and the delta 0.5%. So this means that when the price arrives to 1%, the trading stop is activated. So we have the trading stop 0.5 here. So that is why the delta is 0.5. So we have the trading stop here. Let me put also this. So we have the trading stop here. And what happens? When the price goes up, the trading stop will follow 0.5% with a delta. And here, check that the price is like going down. So in this case that the price is going down, the trading stop will remain in the same value. If the price goes up again, the trading stop will go up again. And then imagine that here we are not reaching this take profit, so the price comes back again down. As the trading stop was at this level, this is where the trading stop will be activated and then executed the order. This prevents you to miss opportunities of, for example, you started here, then the price goes up, and boom, suddenly you get out via stop loss. Well, the trading stop here will be triggered, and probably you're not going to lose money because you make the right decision of going long because the price went long, but the take profit was so high and the trading stop was the one that makes you make the money. And lastly, we have this directional strategy base that if you check the strategies that we have before in the code base, they have a bunch of lines of code. There was like initialization of the candles, stopping the candles, storing the executors, the formal status. There were like a bunch of things over there that probably makes complicated for users or new users or people that is not so technical to modify the directional strategies. That's why I introduced the directional strategy base. That is a very simple file that you have to define. Instead of when you're writing a script, you have to inherit script strategy base. So in this case, if you want to write a directional strategy in one market, you will need to inherit the directional strategy base instead of a script strategy base. And which are the things that you can do? Well, you can only trade in one market, and you have to define the only important method is the method get signal. The method get signal will has to return 1, -1, or 0. 1 will be long, -1 will be short, and 0 will be do nothing. So that is how you can control and generate the signal using multiple candles or different sources, trades, order book, whatever. In terms of code, in this case, I'm going to present one strategy that we did yesterday with the guys of Botcamp, because in Botcamp we have a special treatment of the users that are taking the course, and one of them was Doi that was interested in learning how to run a statistical arbitrage example. So in this case, we are not going to code a directional strategy because the directional strategy base only lets you trade in one market. It's possible to provide external signal from the directional strategy, for example? Yeah, definitely. Lazy quant is a very good question, the one that you are doing, because in the get signal method, you can do whatever you want. It's like you can query an external API. The important thing is that you have to return 1, -1, or 0. So let's go to the code. Let me go to development. Check out development. Now let's review the structure. If you want, and I strongly recommend you to do it, you can check here inside of strategy, this class that I introduced, that is this directional strategy base, that as you can see is inheriting this script strategy base. The important thing that you need to know, well, here you have all the attributes that you will need to define if you don't want the default, because there are some of them that comes with default values, but if you want to modify them, you will need to redefine them in your strategy. So what you have to define is the name of the strategy, because a CSV with all the executors that you are using is going to be created with the name of the strategy, the trading pair and the exchange, the maximum executors at a time, the position mode, if it's hedge or one mode. This is, you don't need to define this again because you're not going to use them. It's going to be in the background. Stop loss, take profit, and time limit. This is in seconds. And also another improvement that I didn't mention is that you can put this as none, and the barrier of time limit won't be considered, for example. Or you can go without stop loss, or you can go without take profit and use the trading stop. So while there are new you have like new ways to use it now. Now we have also this cooldown after execution. This was requested by one of the community members. So once you execute a signal, for example, you are trading on volatility and you are using Bollinger Bands. So usually the first time that the Bollinger Band is reached, probably can be a fake signal and you are entering long, but suddenly you get out of with via stop loss. So instead of entering a position again, because the Bollinger Band will say, hey, it's time to enter, you will probably want to have a cool down period before you execute a new one. So then we have here a list of candles base. I created this as a list. If you think that probably in the future we can create a dictionary with the name of the trading pair and then the list, that can be another option. To make it easier here, I created a list because how many candles are you going to use for one trading pair? I don't know, but you can use all the properties of the candles to get the name, the interval of the candle that you are trading or using. So, well, a list was like the most clean data structure. And the order amount in USD, that's the other thing that you need to define, and the leverage. The leverage by default is 1 because this directional strategy base works for perpetuals and for spot. Well, here you have all the methods, if all the candles are ready, if it's a perpetual market, well, all these helper methods are the ones that are making that later on, when you write your script, you will need to put a few lines of code. So in this case, if you check, for example, this is why I mentioned that it's very cool that you can use it for spot and for perpetuals. If you check this RSI, Directional Strategy Base, and RSI spot, you will see that the code is exactly the same. The only thing that is changing is that here I'm using Binance and here I am using Binance Perpetual. So that is like the potential of why I think that the Position Executor on these smart components has a bunch of potential, because it is abstracting a lot of complexity for the user or for the developer. So I would recommend you to check this strategy too. Well, this strategy was like the one that I mentioned before, that was doing a statistical arbitrage between Bitcoin and Doge, where we can use Ethereum, it's the same. But the good thing about this is that is interesting is to show you some of the things that you will need to know when defining this strategy. So first of all, well, this has changed, and trading pair is important because later on, as you can see here, we have only the method get signal, get processed DF, and get market data extra info, that we can just remove these ones. These are like not necessary, and we can code just all inside this method. But I did it like this because usually when you are processing the data frame, you want to process the data frame for generating the signal, and you also want to process the data frame to show it in the formal status, to see the candles and to understand what is happening or the values that you have. So, well, that's why I split that in 3 methods. So let's review the parameters that you have to define. Well, first of all, the name of the strategy. Then the trading pair and the exchange, the order amount in USD that you want to use, the leverage that you're going to have here. One important thing is that don't think that order amount USD $15 and leverage 10, the leverage is going to impact in this order amount, because the leverage is very different to the order amount, because the leverage will let you like take some extra risk with money that you don't have, but the order amount that you are selecting is the order amount that you're going to see in the market. Probably the capital that you are using or the margin that you are using, if you have a higher leverage, will be lower, but the order amount is not like the order amount will be $150. The order amount will be always $15. That is very, very important. Then here, this is more related to the strategy, so we can move it to here, for example. And we have the stop loss. This is in percentage. So let me change a little bit these parameters. Let's put here 2% of take profit. This will be activated in 1%, and here we can have a delta of 0.5%. And this is like the most difficult or important part to define, is how you are constructing the candles. One common issue that the people has is that when they are using, for example, DYDX Perpetual, here when they are creating the candle, they have an issue because we don't have the DYDX source of the candles. If you want to check the available sources, you can click here in the method of the candles factory and you will see that we have Binance Perpetual, Binance Gate.io, well, we have all these different sources. So how you can handle this kind of error where you have here an exchange and you want to use another candle? Well, here, for example, you can use Binance Perpetual, here. And in this case, we are going to be trading in DYDX, but we are going to be using the candles of Binance. So it's very important to understand that the candles are completely different from the exchange. And that is because it allows you to use, for example, you can use information of Binance to trade on Kucoin, or information of Binance to trade on Gate. And usually you would like to use the market that has the most of the liquidity because will be like the most updated one. So that is why probably using the Binance Perpetual source will be like the most smart decision, depending if the trading pair is available or not. Well, then the second parameter that we have to define here in the candles, well, let me go back here to Binance Perpetual. So the second parameter that we have here to define is the trading pair that we are going to use. In this case, the first one is Ethereum USDT. So the first candle will be a candle of 1 hour of Ethereum in Binance Perpetual. And the second candle that we are defining here will be for Bitcoin USDT 1 hour. And well, we are going to have 150 records. That probably is too much because we are using 24 periods, but I don't care. It's like 150 rows. Well, that's all from the configuration. So if you define this like it is right now, the only thing that is missing is to generate or to implement the method of get signal. And it's here, the method of get signal. So as you can see here, well, here it says RSI because I copy and paste the RSI example, but it's not RSI. The important thing is that here we are going to return an integer that will be -1 for sell, 0 for hold, and 1 for buy. So the first thing that we are doing here in this case of the statistical arbitrage is calling this get processed data frame that you have here. And here we have the candles for Ethereum, that will be the first one. So to access to the candles, we have self.candles, 0 will be the first one, and the property candlesdf returns the data frame. And candles 1 will be the candles for Bitcoin, and this is how we can access also to the data frame. So the next thing that we are doing is merging these two candles, since then we are going to use the two close prices, and then we are calculating the returns of the Ethereum and the returns of Bitcoin. So the returns are like the percentage of variation between 1 hour and another. So if the price goes up 2%, you can see the percentage and not in an absolute value. So that will be like the returns period by period. And what we are going to do is saying, okay, we want to subtract the BTC returns minus the ETH returns. So with that, we are the intuition that I would like to give to you is like, if Bitcoin is going up and Ethereum is going down, it's like Bitcoin will be positive, Ethereum will be negative. So imagine that it's 2% and minus 2%. So this will be 2% minus 2%. So it will be like 4%. That would be like the spread that appears between Bitcoin and Ethereum. So if the spread is a very high positive value, means that Bitcoin is going up a lot and Ethereum is going down. So I would like to go long in Ethereum. And if it's the opposite scenario and this value is high, is very negative, can be an example of Bitcoin going minus 2% and Ethereum going 2% up. So it will be -2 minus 2. So it will be minus 4%. That means if the spread is minus 2%, that means that Bitcoin goes down a lot, Ethereum goes up, and you would like to short Ethereum. So what we are doing here is accumulating that spread of the last X periods. In this case, is going to be 24 periods. So what we are doing is saying, okay, I would like to get the spread of the last day between Ethereum and Bitcoin. So that would mean that Ethereum goes up, I don't know, X% and Bitcoin goes, and based on that value, I would like to take a decision. So with that comes spread that we have here, we're going to calculate the Z-score. So this is, if you are not familiar with statistics, this is like, it's very similar to a standardization. It's like the value that you have for that observation minus the mean of the returns. In this case, we are talking about the spread between the BTC and Bitcoin. So basically what this is doing is saying, this is the current cum spread. I would like to subtract the mean and divide that by the standard deviation. So that is like a mathematical trick to have a series that has a mean of 0, because as we have imagine that you have a population of observations. So if we subtract the mean to that population, now the mean of that population will be 0, because we are subtracting the mean. And if we divide that with the standard deviation, we have a standard deviation. The standard deviation will be 1 of that new population. So that this process, what it's basically doing, can be used to filter outliers, or to understand like which are the distribution of the points that I have, or which is like the value of the observation that I'm looking at, if it's deviated or not. What it's basically doing is saying, okay, I will translate these returns, and also this makes the distribution comparable to other trading pair if you want. But the good thing is that we are going to put a center of the mean in 0 and a standard deviation of 1. And it's easier later on to put thresholds. So we are calculating this, and we are returning the DF. So this method is used in 2 places. The first one, that is get signal, and the second one, that is market data extra info. Come back to this get signal method. As you can see, now we are using this method to process all the things, create indicators, all the stuff. And here in get signal, the only thing that we have to do is to return 1, -1, or 0. So we are accessing to the column that has the Z-score, and with this ilog, we are getting like the last observation of the column. So if the Z-score is greater than 1.1, in this case I selected 1.1, but you can select any value, you can go, we are going to go long. And if the Z-score is lower than -1.1, we are going short. Else, we are doing nothing. Now let's talk about this market data extra info. As you can see, if you run a strategy before, I created a formal status that shows like the progress of the position over time. So it's very good to watch it, because it shows you like how long, how far away are you from stop loss or from the take profit, or how many time is remaining. As it was a little bit complicated and you have to write that all the time again, I make that part like a standard of the Directional Strategy Base. So if you go here, you will see that you have here the closed executors and the active executors, and it's optional, and you to add this market data extra info. So if you don't want, you can just don't implement it, but if you want, you can do it. And what you have to do is to add things to this list. So this will be a list of lists that has strings inside, and all the things that you have here are going to be appended to the format status. So in this case, I would like to add these candles. So get processed DF will return the candles with all this information. And what I would like to do is to show the timestamp, the open, the low, high, close, volume, and Z-score, because it's the one that I calculated here. If you check the RSI, it's the same, that is returning the RSI of 7 periods. So this will depend a lot of you of what you want to show or not. And obviously, as I mentioned, you can just remove this and it's going to work just with the information of the executors. So if I run this now, to run this start script, directional stat r status live. Okay, yeah. It already takes a position because the z-score is negative here. This is going short. Probably what happens is that Bitcoin goes down much more than Ethereum in a short position. That is why the z-score is negative. What if I would like to add the information of the close price of Bitcoin or the diff that we have? That can be one of the things that probably you would like to do. So if that's the case, probably you can add, for example, let's add the cum spread. So we can add it here, cum spread. We can also add the Bitcoin price. That will be close target, and that's all for now. So, well, I have a position open, but don't worry. An important thing is that if you have a position open and you press stop, it's going to close the position. So stop, it stops the position. So let me start again. Start script, and this will be directional stat r status live. Remember that this is not a statistical arbitrage strategy because I'm not taking this decision in the two markets, but it's like Ethereum following Bitcoin. So as you can see here, the cum spread is negative as we thought, and the close target, and here close target is the close price of BTC. So, well, as you can see, we are updating like the price of BTC, and Ethereum is updated here in like real time, and this is because the candles are very cool. They mix between, well, it's a mix between WebSocket and REST. So that is why we have this like real-time computation of the prices. So, well, that is how it works. The new directional framework, the new features that you have. Also, this is like an optional. If you are like more advanced, probably you would like to trade on more than one trading pair, and that is totally fine. But if you want to do so, I would recommend you to check the example. This MACD Bollinger Bands directional strategy is just using doing all the show. So as you can see here, we have like 235 lines of code, and now a strategy is like 77 lines of code. So that is like the biggest improvement that we have. So, but well, you can use this as a base to understand all the things that are done, or you can use the Directional Strategy Base and implement something that lets you use more than one trading pair. Parameter here that you can define, that is max executors. So here you can select maximum 2 executors or 3 executors, and this will create a maximum 3 position executors at a time. It's interesting that now this makes much more sense by combining this with this cooldown after execution, because, well, if not, it's a little bit the problem with have more than one executor at a time is that, for example, if you are trading with Bollinger Bands, the signal will be positive for a long time, and you are going to create a bunch of executors to go long. For example, if the Bollinger Band is in -1. So that is one of the problems of doing that. I would recommend you to start with just one executor at a time, and then see how you can improve or add more executors. If you want, also, this is experimental, writing a market making strategy with executors is this one, PMM with position executors. That is creating, in this case, 2 executors per side. So it's like doing market making with position executor. For me, the best thing of doing this is that one of the most common problems that all the people that is doing market making has is how to handle the balance, the inventory imbalance, because every time that you have a buy, you are having more base asset, and if you don't sell it, you're going to have your inventory imbalanced. And if you are providing liquidity, you want to have liquidity of the 2 tokens at the same time, because If not, you're not going to have a very good uptime. So the role that I found by using the executor, or the change of mindset that I'm trying to do with this is, forget about like the traditional market making, that is that you have to handle the inventory, change the site. Obviously that you can do it too with this, but instead of doing that, think as each order and as an individual opportunity to that is going to run like independent. So the most elemental case is a position executor without stop loss and without time limit. That will be like the same of the hanging orders, because when your order gets executed, you're going to place the take profit order. That will be like the same of having the hanging orders. But what I found interesting of having the three barriers is that you are doing market making, your buy order gets executed. If the price goes down a lot, you're going to buy again and your inventory will be rebalanced. If the price goes up, you're going to capture the profit because you have the take profit. And if the executor takes a lot of time and it hits the time limit bar, you're going to rebalance your inventory again. So you don't care more, you don't have to think about how to rebalance your inventory, because with this structure, your inventory will be rebalanced all the time. What you need to think is which are the ratios that you need to know, which is the risk that you want to have for the stop loss, which is your take profit. If you want to have a very tight take profit, you're going to have a very small executions, and you can do it at market. That is another cool thing, is that if you're doing market making, you can put a limit, and then when the price goes up, boom, market order, and you capture the profit. Or you can define a time limit when you want to do the whole rebalance, and your inventory will stay like as the initial inventory. In this case, it's like 24 hours. But the idea is that you will need to place the order. For example, in this case, I'm using Bollinger Bands. I would like to place my buy order very close to the Bollinger Bands, because it will be like a directional strategy while I am doing market making. That is like the idea that I would like to continue like evolving this. But well, and the good thing is that and the good thing is that as I am defining, this is like the idea that I have in main on the design of the strategy. As I have, for example, I have 5 levels. Usually the first level is the one that is hidden before or at first. So here, in this case, I have 24 hours until I can close the position. So if I wasn't able to capture the take profit quickly and that position is taken, I am not going to place another position in that level, because that level is waiting. So it's like the next level will be the second level of the sell order. So the opportunity that I have now is greater, and I am not exposing all the capital. So it's like if you sell, you don't want to place that order immediately. This will be like a field order delay, but it will be like a field order delay specific for that specific level. So that is like the other thing that I think that can be really interesting to make money from it. If you follow my rules, sorry for saying my rules, but if you follow like the structure that I am creating for the Directional Strategy Base, you can create a directional strategy with 50 lines of code. And if I create something very similar for market making, like a market making base, I would like to expose only 2 things. Shift in the mid price, that will be what Avellaneda is doing. Avellaneda is shifting the mid price based on inventory, market conditions, and whatever. And you can make the spread dynamic. So what I will expose in the market making base class is a method to update the shift on the mid price and the spreads. So you can if you use my formula, you can define a new market making strategy very fast. You can change the order levels, you can change the way that you are using the indicators to define the things, because like the whole structure or the whole backend will work seamlessly like for all the strategies, but the only thing that you are going to be changing is the shift on the mid price and the dynamic spreads. I'm working right now in an arbitrage executor. The cool thing is that it works for DEXs and SEXs. I also want to create a DCA component. There are a bunch of users that are using a DCA from 3 commas, and they want to have more control over the strategy. So providing the same interface to create the DCA will be good. And also the best thing of using Honeybots instead of 3 commas is that you can do it dynamically. Lastly, just to get intuition of this strategy, what it's trying to do, check that here I enter in a short position, and it's expected because as you can see here, price is 1800, almost 1900, and here Bitcoin was 700, 600, 700, 500, 500. So Bitcoin goes down in price and Ethereum remains there. So this strategy is trying to capture that the Bitcoin drops and Ethereum stays in the place that was before. So that's why it enters in a short position. Just to show you with numbers how this works. So Ethereum remains almost in the same price, Bitcoin goes down, and this is why I have this comp spread of difference. This is like the price that I enter in the position. This is like the close price will be, if it's an active executor, will be like the real-time close price. If it's a closed executor, will be the price that the position was closed. The amount in USDT of the position. The unrealized PNL is the trade PNL. This is like close price minus entry price divided entry price. The total fee is the total fee in USDT that we pay for the position. And also we have here the PNL, that is the PNL, that is the trade PNL minus the total fee, and the PNL in absolute value. Well, the close type will be trading stop, take profit, and whatever. This time limit bar, here I have like an asterisk and then it's like dash. I think that I put like 12 hours. So this bar will continue increasing, and when it reaches at the end, imagine that now we are here and the time limit is over. So we said, and why we have a time limit, let me explain a little bit the rationale, is because when you have a signal, for example, the Bollinger Band says that I have to go long, that signal will be valid for, I don't know, 5 minutes, or depending on the time frame that I am trading. So the time limit is more like saying, okay, this execution should be up to this time. If this time passed, it's like my signal is not longer valid. It's like my signal was generated for this specific occasion, so I would like to respect it in this time frame. Then we have this stop loss and take profit. This is short, and you are seeing the stop loss here is because I tried before to put the stop loss here and take profit here, but it's more confusing. If you have always a stop loss here and a take profit here, you will see this number is the current price. If this price is closer to the right, you are closer to get the profit. If this price is closer to the stop loss, you're going to get out via stop loss. So this price moves from one side to the other. The position will stay open, and when we reach the trading stop activation price, the trading stop status will be active, and this will be the trading stop price will show like when the trading stop will be executed. But I didn't incorporate the trading stop here because it was depending on the prices of the sizes, it was going to be a mess, the graph. Once the executor is closed, then you are going to see a list of the closed executors and the closed type that we have. Max executors by default is 1, as you can see here. So if you check here, max executors condition, here says if max executors conditions and candles are ready and time between signals, then it's going to create a new one. Yeah, that can be possible too, to replace the other stop loss, but well, I didn't do it. You're going to use more this when you are analyzing your strategy and all that stuff. But what I found later on when I'm running directional strategy is that I'm not checking this so much as I thought that I was going to do. Then you will need to create like a custom report. Probably I can add that to the directional strategy base, like a method that gets executed every hour that sends a report of the positions that you opened and closed and all that stuff. But this is more like to debug, understand like if the ratios that you select are all right or not. And you have to have this like opened. But yeah, that is definitely something that that you can do. If the trading stop status is active, then replace the stop loss by the stop loss price, the trading stop. Seems like this arbitrage is going well. We have like 0.3% of returns. Actually, yesterday I did a back test for the guy from the botcamp. It gets very good results, this strategy.